Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my sacrifices to
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Today we're looking at Canto 10 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 4, the atrocities of King Kamsa.
It's chapter 5.
Chapter 5. Chapter 5, what verse are we on?
19. We are reading from 19 up until 32.
19 until 30.
And then we're focusing on 23.
One thing at a time. Okay, everybody ready? Shukadev Goswami continued. Thereafter. So they've heard that Nanda Maharaj, his very dear friend and brother, had come to Mathura and already paid the taxes to Kamsa. He went to Nanda Maharaj's residence. When Nanda Maharaj heard that Vasudeva had come, he was overwhelmed with love and affection, being as pleased as if his body had regained its life. Seeing Vasudeva suddenly present, he embraced him with both arms. Maharaj Parikshit, having thus been received and welcomed by Nanda Maharaj with honor, Vasudeva sat down very peacefully, inquired about his own two sons because of intense love for them. My dear brother Nanda Maharaj, in advanced age you have no son at all, and we're hopeless of having one. Therefore, you now have a son. It is a sign of great fortune. It is also by good fortune that I'm seeing you, having obtained this opportunity. I feel as if I have taken birth again, even though one is present in this world. To meet with intimate friends and dear relatives in this material world is extremely difficult. Many planks and sticks, unable to stay together, are carried away by the force of a river's waves. Similarly, although we are intimately friends and family members, we are unable to stay together because of our varied past deeds and the waves of time. My dear friend Nanda Maharaj, the place where you are living with your friends, is the forest favorable for the animals, the cows? I hope there is no disease or inconvenience. The place must be full of water, grass, and other plants. My son, Baldev, being raised by you and your wife, Yashoda Devi, considers you his father and mother. Is he living very peacefully? Is there some problem? What is the problem? Oh, that's definitely a problem.
It's a connectivity issue.
Oh. Because this TV was dropped a few times.
Really?
Yeah.
Fell down.
Yeah, like while taking it up and down.
Oh.
The one is dropped.
We're 20, and where was I? And why? And why? Because he cannot help himself. Okay, good. Line from the drama, 27, right? My son Baladev, being raised by you and your wife, Yashoda Devi, considers you his father and mother. Is he living very peaceful in your home with his real mother, Rohini? When one's friends and relatives are properly situated, one's religion, economic development, and sense gratification described in the Vedic literatures are beneficial. Otherwise, if one's friends and relatives are in distress, these three cannot offer any happiness. Maharaj said, alas, King Kamsa killed so many of your children, born of the youngest child of all, entered the heavenly planets. Man is certainly controlled by destiny, which determines the results of one's fruitive activities. In other words, one has a son or daughter who is of unseen destiny, and when the son or daughter is no longer present, this also is due to unseen destiny. He is the ultimate controller of everyone. One who knows this is never bewildered. Vasudeva said to Nanda Maharaj, "Now, my dear, since you have paid the annual taxes to Kamsa, and have also seen me, do not stay in this place for many days. It is better to return to Gokul. since I know there may be some disturbances here. Shukadeva Swami said, after Vasudev advised Nanda Maharaj in this way, Nanda Maharaj and his Rosas, the coward men, took permission from Vasudeva, yoked their bulls to the bullock carts, started riding for Gokula. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 10th canto, 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Meeting of Nanda Maharaj and Vasudev. Okay. Which one are we doing? 28. 3. Okay, everyone's ready? Disya brata pravayasa, I'm sorry, pravayasa. Idanim aprajasyate prajashaya nivrittasya prajayat samapadyata Prishya brata pravayasa Idanim aprajasyate Prajashaya nivrittasya Prajaya samapadyata Dishya brata pravayasa Idanim aprajasyate Prajashaya nivrittasya Prajaya samapadyata Brata pravayasa Idanam aprajasyate Prajashaya nivrittasya Prajayat samapadyata Yasya brita pravayasa Prajasyate Prajashaya nivrittasya Prajayat samapadyata Disya Abrata pravayasa Idanim aprajasyate Prajayat samapadyata. Perfect, right? Everyone's covered it. Oh, we didn't do this group. Okay. Oh, was it? Okay. Go ahead. You want to try?
Disya brata pravasya
Disya brata pravayasa Idanim aprajasyate Prajashaya nivrittasya Prajayat samapadyata. Jaya, very good. Disya, it is by great fortune. Brataha, oh my dear brother. Bro. Prabha yasaha, of you whose age is now quite advanced. Idanim, at the present moment. Aprajasya, of one who did not have a son before. Te, of you. Praja ashaya, nivrittasya, of one who was almost hopeless of getting a son at this age. Praja, a son. Yet, whatever. Samapatyata has been gotten by chance. Let's do the verse together. My dear brother Nanda Maharaj, at an advanced age you had no son at all, and were hopeless of having one. Therefore, you have a son is a sign of great fortune. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. At an advanced age, one generally cannot beget a male child. If by chance one does beget a child at this age, the child is generally female. Thus, Vasudeva indirectly asked Nanda Maharaj whether he had actually begotten a male child or a female child. Vasudeva knew that Yashoda had given birth to a female child, whom he had stolen and replaced with a male child. This was a great mystery. And Vasudeva wanted to determine this mystery, whether this mystery was already known to Nanda Maharaj. On inquiring, however, he was confident that the mystery of Krishna's birth and his being placed in the care of Yashoda was still hidden. There was no
Anxiety, fear,
danger. Very good. Danger, since Kamsat once could not learn what had already happened. Okay. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurav Charini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachari Shatarini Jai. So two great souls got together. It was like a family reunion, and they're addressed as brothers, although that might not be the case by today's standards. But everyone says, hey, bro, anyways. So, and that way it computes. When you talk to anybody that has a background from India, oh, my cousin brother this, and my, et cetera. There's all this extended family dynamics, which is quite nice, which is very beautiful. Okay, so Nanda Maharaj came to do what?
Pay taxes.
To pay taxes in the city of Mathura. So people shouldn't be too upset about taxes, which is what you're all going to get involved in the future, paying taxes. You'll be taxed by taxes, okay? And there's, as you've heard the saying before, there's two things that are for sure: death and taxes, right? And the Lord giveth and the government taketh away. You have heard that before, right? Okay, so at an advanced age, the question that Vasudeva brings up about advanced age could be taken a little bit insulting, but I don't think it really has to be taken that way. You know, in the story of Vamana, who's the little dwarf Brahmin who took 3 steps of land and just took all the real estate. And, we understand that it was Aditi who was the mom, and Kashyapa Muni was the father. And she was very upset that her sons were driven away by the Asuras. Kashyapa Muni had gone on a kind of a retreat, spiritual retreat, which saintly people do. And then he came back and he saw that his wife was very forlorn. She wasn't in good shape. And the reason is because her sons were gone, her kids were gone. And they were in hiding because of the Asuras. How the struggle for power between the Asuras and Devatas are always there. It's always a back and forth. As you know, it was a tug of war that was going on. And they end up making the biggest milkshake ever in the history of mankind. So it was Kashyapa Muni who said that, told her not to worry. What she could do is perform the Payovrata, and then you would have a son. And even in her advanced age, she would have a son. Because it does, you have to be at a certain age. For ladies, it's, there's only a period that's very limited, to bear children. So, but it was Kashyapa Muni who was very reassuring to her that everything's going to be okay, and you just do the Payavrata. Vrata means to do some austerities, and Paya refers to milk. And he gave her some prescriptions as to what to do. Take some dirt that's dug up by a boar, and use that dirt to cleanse the deity, to do puja with it. Dirt isn't bad. It's only dirt that's contaminated with many chemicals which man has produced in more recent times, last 200 years or so. But dirt on its own is not a bad thing. And so that was one of the ingredients. Wash the deity, do it with dirt, then cleanse it, distribute prasadam to the Brahmins, things like that, And milk was to be offered as well in the process. So it came to pass, and then finally a little boy was born to our dear Aditi. She already mothered many children, and Kashyapa had also fathered many children, and the good guys and the bad guys. Basically that's the way it was. It was Diti, a co-wife, that mothered the bad boys. So that's the story, as simple as it is, how it all took place. And that word Daitya, dynasty, which appears in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, of the Daityas, I am Prahlad. So Prahlad appeared in that Daitya dynasty, the dynasty of the Asuras. And his father was Hiranyakashipu. So you've got these, that's how there's a little genealogical table in regards to all of this. Anyways, it was like a nice family reunion. We see that the two men embraced each other. They were just happy to see each other for a long time. It would appear, though, that when Krishna and Balaram were somewhat freed up, and they were no longer toddlers, they were age 7, something like that, and they went to Mathura for the wrestling match. There were a lot of people watching in this arena, and amongst them were the two sets of parents, right? Vasudeva and Devaki, and Nanda and Yashoda. They were watching. It was horrific, especially when Krishna and Balaram were at a disadvantage. But just like when Krishna got trapped in the coils of the Naga, the snake, Kali. Yes, and when Krishna saw that the inhabitants of Vrindavan were very distressed, they were just standing at the bank of the Yamuna, and they were all just totally freaking out. And when Krishna saw this reaction by his close family members, he thought, I'm going to get out of these coils. I can't see my dear devotees going through this stress. And so Krishna responds very much to when devotees are distressed. By the way, this is a quality that we also need to take on. When you see just people who are struggling and suffering, we should also feel the pain, right? Para dukkha dukhi. If there's any phrase that's really important to note today and every day of your life, and you might want to write this down. Para dukkha dukhi. Because I'm feeling pain because others are in pain. So Krishna's, it's just something that we adopt from the Lord. We adopt or adapt from Krishna. We are disturbed to see others who are disturbed, whether it's like people in a homeless condition or whatever the case may be, or we see somebody being abused, and you feel for them. After all, this is Bhakti Yoga. It's really all about feeling, and Krishna feels, we feel, and everyone has some sentiment, or should have some sentiment about each other. There is a class of people, however, who are sadistic. And, let's go to another story that involved Narada Muni and Mrigari the hunter. Everybody knows that one? It's a beautiful story. And so Mrigari the hunter was, his name implies that he likes to see others in pain, And he was releasing arrows on animals and hitting them at a spot where they would encounter a slow death, not a quick one. Because if you're going to kill me, or if you want to kill somebody, make it a clean death, Get it done with. Don't let it be a slow bleed, So Narada was walking and in a forest, and he saw a boar, and he saw a deer, and he saw a hare. All went through the same experience. They got struck by an arrow. And at a spot, he was so expert, he hit them at a spot where they would live for some time. It would be a long, dragged out, painful death. So Narada was upset about this. And he was determined to find out who was the culprit here, So he met with the culprit. He saw this hunter releasing the arrows. So just ready to release, and Narada came to him and halted him. They said, "What's going on here? What are you doing here?" And he said, it would have been better if you actually killed the animals completely and let them have a decent departure from this world instead of a long, drawn-out, painful, bleeding death. So the hunter was respectful. The beautiful thing about being raised in the Vedic culture is that all around you there are protocols. Even if you're a lowly person and you're not very refined. So he listened to the sadhu, Narada. And Narada said, "Are you aware of something? Do you know something about karma?" And his answer was kind of, duh. He didn't know. He was not trained. Didn't go through that kind of education. And the simple, gist of it is the philosophy that if you invoke pain on someone, you will get pain. You will receive, it'll come back almost like a boomerang. Boomerang? It flies off and it comes back to you. It comes to haunt you, right? So he explained this message, Narada, to Mrigari the hunter, and he said, I didn't know about these things. He said, yeah, you're going to be really, your future doesn't look bright if you keep up this kind of lifestyle. So Mrigari the hunter, he was very moved by meeting Narada. Narada was a very impressive, charismatic, holy person, and he affected many people's lives, progressively. And he had real impact on him. So Mrigari the hunter, who was married, and he and his wife, they decided to go holy. And what they did was they started to chant mantras in front of a tulsi plant, and that became a regulation. They became great sadhakas, And this is the power of meeting a great soul. So some time had passed, and Narada Muni was in good association with his godbrother, another Muni, Parvata Muni. And they were traveling, making their way to see Narada's old friend. You could call him, say he's a disciple, Mrigari. And when it was detected by Mrigari, the hunter, that these two sadhus are coming his way. He stopped what he was doing, and he went over. He was in the middle of his sadhana. He went over to see the two great souls, and he went to offer obeisance to them, and but he found it very difficult as he was about to go dive down in the sand. He saw all these ants all over the place, and so he was sadistic prior, but now he had become like a sadhu, from sadism or whatever the term is, to being a sadhu. So he was trying to brush the ants out of the way, and it's a very delicate thing. You've all experienced that before. How many people have gone to, had a genuine picnic that you attended? And what is always a concomitant factor to a picnic? Ants. And sometimes uncles will come too, to the picnic, aunts and uncles. Okay, so then he was trying to brush them away, and it's not an easy thing because it easily can be crushed, right? So he'd become very sensitive. And it was extremely cumbersome. So the two sadhus were there, and they just kind of stood there. Parvata Muni was looking at Narada Muni, said, I know this guy, I heard about him. He was a real jerk, more or less, and said, but look at how he's a changed man. How did you do it? And so Magari the hunter proved himself. He had been converted. He went to changed. Nice story. One of our, I'd say, very sincere devotees. He became a motivational speaker. His name's Peter Burwash. He was born in Toronto, and he got into sports in a big way, hockey. His family moved to Montreal for a while, and then he became a sports figure. He would get on the microphone and be like an anchor man for sports. And he also started a tennis school and had branches in different places around the world. And if you wanted to join his school, his tennis school, you had to be vegetarian. That was the stipulation. Now, that wasn't a deterrent. In fact, he stuck to his principles, and his business grew. And he ended up buying other tennis schools. That's how well he did. And the thing is that, how did he get so good in the business field? Because in 1975, he spent 3 hours with Prabhupada on 187 Gerrard Street in Cabbagetown, which is part of Toronto. And he asked Prabhupada how to run a good business. And Prabhupada gave him 9 points. He ended up writing books, and as I mentioned, he's a motivational speaker. By the way, he passed away about 3 years ago from cancer. He was living in somewhere in LA.
What's the name of it? The name?
Peter Burwash. And I used to be on the phone with him. I'd call him once in a while. And we were friends. And he used to chant 8 rounds a day. He didn't get to 16. But he would take his beads to bed, and he'd always chant on his beads. He was very, very, very committed as a devotee. So I'm just mentioning his name because he was in a tournament, playing tennis. And, his opponent was doing a good job. He was doing a good job. But he saw an army of ants coming. The tennis ball was coming his way, and he was ready to go. And then he saw an army of ants coming in. He didn't want to damage them, so I don't know what the end result was. I know that it was very awkward for him. He may have missed hitting the ball because of the ants. But he had become sophisticated, like a regular Canadian boy, especially a hockey player. You're meat, potatoes, whatever. That kind of lifestyle. French fries, probably Kellogg's cornflakes in the morning with cold milk and sugar on top. That was his background. But he had become so advanced in Krishna consciousness. So the idea is that We're talking here about Nanda and Vasudeva. They're both very advanced souls because they fathered God. You can understand they're not ordinary persons, and in their background, they had done a lot of pious deeds, austerities, and so like with their wife. You could read about those details in the Krishna book. Yeah. So there's a strong bond between these two. They shared the life of Krishna, but the thing is, Vasudeva didn't have a chance to be with Krishna much. He was born, and he had took him out of that perilous situation, out of the prison in Mathura, and brought him to Gokula. And there Krishna was relatively safe. Kamsa had dispatched a demon almost every day to try to eliminate Krishna. And Kamsa, being a man of attachment, a man who was engrossed in himself, attached to his position and power and all those kind of things, when he heard the prophetic voice from the sky saying, the 8th child of your sister will be the death of you. So Vasudeva, being the brother-in-law of Kamsa, reacted very swiftly. He was very protective, which is what guys are supposed to do: protect, provide. That's the job by guys, traditionally, and still supposed to be there. And it's not like obligations have changed. It's still always supposed to be there. So Nanda, Vasudeva, and of course their counterparts is Nanda's Yashoda and then Devaki. There was a little confusion about the gender because a boy was brought in and he was switched for a girl, and Yashoda, when she got out of her labor period, she wasn't quite sure. She was a little confused about, was it a boy or a girl? She wasn't. She was a little bit, you can imagine what it's like, I mean, for those of you, how many people have had babies here, Okay, there, okay. And you must have some idea by talking to your good wives that it's not an easy thing. And you're concerned for them too. They're suffering. And again, paraduka duki. It's not that you just, a streetcar named Desire. Is anybody familiar with that? Tennessee Williams, famous novel, So there was a real jerk there, and his wife was having her first baby, and he was just playing cards, smoking and drinking with the boys, while she was going through her labor. Totally insensitive. Okay. Anyways, let's go back to more evolved people. Nanda and Vasudeva. They clicked really well, and it was just that there was this confusion about the genders, and it all got resolved in the end. As we mentioned the other day, all you have to do is just move a little bit of cloth, a diaper, whatever it is, and you can see, oh, okay, I know what the gender is. But it's all mystical, this whole play. Yoga Maya had come and had accompanied Vasudeva, who brought the child from the prison. Everyone went out like a light, and all the prisoners come, so everyone just went to a deep, deep sleep, because Yoga Maya can do that. Just like Yoga Maya affected Arjuna, on the battlefield when he was supposed to strike, get out there and do something. Take up our arms against the enemy. So Maya is very strong. Yoga Maya, Yoga Maya, they're both, you can say that they're the same, but they're also different. I think it's clearly defined. Everybody understands. Mahamaya is what, as opposed to Yoga Maya? Anybody know?
Could you repeat the word?
What is Maya? What does it mean?
Illusion.
Illusion, right. And then we sometimes draw a distinction between Mahamaya and Yoga Maya. So what's the difference? Yeah.
Yoga Maya connects you to Krishna. Mahamaya keeps you away from Krishna.
That's a good way to put it. I like it. And I want to share something with you too, which I think I did once before. Before I decided to move into the temple, I sent a letter, and I asked one devotee there at the Toronto temple, what is the purpose of Maya? Okay, and the answer came back. It was all pen and paper and stuff, those good old days. And, and the letter came back to say, the purpose of Maya is to protect Krishna from those who are not sincere. So I got from that I better be sincere. I better be honest with myself in my execution of Krishna consciousness. So anyways, take note of that. It's beautiful the way it was presented. Nobody ever presented it to me like that since then. Krishna has Maya there to protect him. Maya is there to assist him in many ways. And Yoga Maya is there to assist him in bringing, when he decides to come to rectify problems, he will have his devotees come and, to participate, to take part in the pastimes. And Yoga Maya is there to help in that regard. Yoga Maya puts a spell over everyone, and it is a spiritual spell. What's an example that we can give of someone who is largely influenced by Yoga Maya? Maharaj Parikshit.
Hanuman.
I'm looking at a more prominent example. Anybody?
Mother Yashoda,
Yeah.
in particular cases when she saw the universe in his mouth.
That's right. That's right. She was thinking, that this is just my kid, my child. And then she saw the universal form and she shifted somewhat. She says, oh my God, what's going on here? This is Bhagawan. And then Yoga Maya comes in and just turns the switch on. You can't go that route. You can't see Krishna with reverence. You have to see Krishna as your son, your child. Yeah. So now, okay. So we get given a good example of someone who's influenced by Yoga Maya. Let's give an example of someone who's influenced by Mahamaya. Who's influenced by Mahamaya? Okay, I'll just go ahead. Okay, I, me, mine. Okay. Anybody else? Give us an example. Yeah, sure. But, more personally, we're all influenced by Mahamaya. Mahamaya is just good old-fashioned Maya, the one that we always talk about, the alluring energy, And so we're all affected by this. And we want to be in a position where we can be influenced by Yoga Maya and let Mahamaya be behind us. Like Jesus said, Satan, get ye behind me. Satan was staring him in the face and tempting him, taunting him. I said, I don't want to see your face. Get back here. So that's the idea of Maya, which is like a version of Satan, basically, you could say, evil forces. And we've all been there. We've all been affected by these evil forces and it continues to happen to us. But so that might put us in despair. If we simply stick strictly to our sadhana and become good sadhaka people, then it is possible to overcome these evil forces, and then you don't have to worry anymore, Your sadhana, your regulative principles is what saves you. Seva saves. Seva saves. Some people say Jesus saves. Okay, yeah, that's great. It's good to have that, to use that expression, but you have to serve the Lord. And then you will be saved. Do seva to the Lord. That's what's going to protect you, right? That's what keeps us on top of things. Keeps us busy. A lot of people who have problems, especially on the mental level, it's because they're overthinking. They're just not keeping busy. The most beautiful thing that can happen in anybody's life is busyness. Be active. Yes. Once you get idle, once you start then all these horrible thoughts, most provocative things enter your mind. That's the worst thing. And so you just want to keep yourself occupied, keep busy. And then everything will be okay. Yes. But I can, well, we got to leave open some time for your questions and comments, Bruce. But we just went over a little bit over this past time here and talked a little bit about Peter Burwash, who's a great hero. And he was really blessed by Prabhupada, how to run a good business. Some people go to college for 3-4 years to get there some degree, and they may not even do well, you know. But here you got a pure devotee talking about how to run a good business, and part of it was don't compromise with your values, your principles. Don't compromise. Okay, do we have anybody that's got some questions? Sí, señor.
Maharaj, you talked about that we should be busy, then we don't overthink too much. But I've seen if I'm thinking something and if I'm doing something, but my mind is still there,
Yeah.
no matter how busy I am. And if I'm really calm, so it doesn't matter how, if I don't have any work or I'm not busy, still I'm very calm. So, how do you see that?
The thing is, what Krishna informs us about the mind going all over the place, wherever it wanders, grab it and bring it back under the control of the self. So there's something like you can roll chapatis, you know, and it's just like it goes automatic. Maybe you're thinking ill of someone. Haribol. Well, please accept mine, but not right now, because I'm just finishing up giving a class. So in 10 minutes, okay, then I'll offer my accept obeisances and give them. Okay, is that okay, 10 minutes? Well, you can call me in 10 minutes. How's that? Try. Okay, now where was I? And why? And why?
Because you cannot help it.
Honestly, where were we? Oh yeah, we were answering your question. Okay, so you want to get, your service to the point where you're very conscious of what you're doing. You have to be very perceptive about everything you do. Pay attention to details, just do a real nice job, and you'll see some results. And you were just talking about keeping calm, even though the mind is racing all over the place. Yeah, well, you're that kind of person. You don't freak out. You don't go all berserk. So your nature is to just keep a little bit calm. But it is important to feel a sense of urgency in your services. Almost like there's Maya's got a gun, a pistol here, ready to. So we need to superimpose that in ourselves. It says, I've got to be serious. I've got to do it with heart. I've got to do it with good intent, Otherwise, if there's no application of the heart, then yeah, you'll make some progress because you're steady at it, the motions, but you're not. It'll be a little bit slow progress. You don't want to be in that slump. So push yourself. That's what we do at Japa time. Push yourself a little bit. In the morning you get up and, I really want to stay here. The pillow's so wonderful. Just have to push yourself a little bit. But for the greater good, I have to get up and honor the Lord and the God and the Goddess, And same thing with chanting japa. Oh, really? The mind says, do you have to? When I first joined the movement, we had one devotee, his name was Ishan, and he was actually in England with his wife when the devotee stayed at John Lennon's estate, the Tittenhurst estate. And no, not the manor, his John Lennon's estate, not George's. And so Ishan was remembering that John was singing the Maha Mantra, and he was using all these kind of melodies, if you can imagine. Okay. And so he was going at it for quite some time and really enjoying himself. And then Yoko Ono came from upstairs to downstairs like a spiral staircase. I just remember how he described it to me. And she was in her nightie, and she said, "Do you have to?" So then he stopped. So that's Maya. That's how Maya works on us, and we have to be really aware of that, not to cater to the wills, the crazy nature of Maya and the mind. Those two M's, Maya and the mind. So just endeavor. You just got to push. When we do japa, it's a little bit like, unless if you really enjoy it, my experience, you have to be a little bit of a warrior. It's like kirtan, but you have to be like a warrior. You have to be a fighter, Whereas when kirtan is a little different, you don't have to fight it. It's just, I'm just happy, I'm just flying. And all the devotees we're all flying like butterflies together. Yeah, so I hope that answers the question somewhat. Okay, good, yes.
Maharaj, you mentioned that Mahamaya is like an evil force sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Kali, which is the personality which is envious of Krishna, and he almost hates the people who uphold dharma. And I was wondering if there's any relation between Mahamaya and Kali.
Yeah, they have the same tendency. Yeah, they have the same nature, which is to be self-centered. They don't want to see you be successful in your spiritual life. They want to see you down here where they have control over you, and you don't have control over them. But as Krishna states in the Gita, if you can control the mind, have some, let's say, hold on the mind, then he's being like your friend. On the other hand, if you become controlled by the mind, then he's clearly an enemy. You could label him as enemy. He, she, whatever. Does that work? Yes.
Maharaj, when you mentioned that we should always be busy, and when we're discussing Maya, I'm just having a realization also that Maya is very non-violent.
Maya's non-violent.
Yeah, I feel like she just comes and enters the mind and the life of the devotees in a very subtle way. In like a needle, out like a plow. So she could make you feel you're the greatest devotee, and you don't need this association. You don't have to be here. At the same time, if you're trying to practice humility, even then there she can attack by, oh, you're too low, you're lower than worm in the stool, and that's why you can't do the service,
Yeah.
So she can influence in whatever ways, and it's very subtle how she comes.
Oh yeah.
As you mentioned, waking up in the morning and thinking of the pillow.
Yes.
That's nice. It's an appreciation for the one who made the pillow. The genius and the devotees who bought the pillow for us. But at the same time, how she can use that also.
Yeah. Oh, she's very tricky.
Yeah.
But she can outsmart Krishna. In 10th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, the Lord talks about that. He'll outsmart anybody. Yeah, so, yeah, definitely. But Daivi Shigunamayi, Mama Maya Durat, that means that the material energy is very insurmountable, very controlling. But if you take shelter of the one who created Maya, then you can overcome.
Right. Even in your drama, Big Fish, Little Fish, when I played the role of Maya, and
I remember that.
yeah, I was just actually feeling little guilty during that. Guilty as in like is doing everything possible to keep Abhay entangled
Yeah.
and pacifying him. Oh, this is fine, and leading him to one thing to another. But that was such a very good experience to know that.
That's what Maya does, yeah. Yeah, so there's some, goodness about Maya too, right? And the story of Chintamani and Bill Mangal Thakur, she felt very bad because her profession was prostitution, right? And she felt very bad that she played a role, was instrumental in bringing people down, her clients. So it's a nice sentiment, really, when you think about it. Good. We're at 8:30. Can I share with you just something? We're having our leaders meetings, right?
Yes.
So I just wrote something about that idea of the servant leader concept, And it's just in the form of a poem. It's called the ABCs of Servant Leader. Here it is. The ideal good leader is never a browbeater, but one who empowers, encourages, and sees that everything flourishes. Such a person is observant, having the virtues of a servant. I have my personal quality list, hoping there's nothing missed. Here is my list, the ABCs. In groups of triple threes, let us analyze them. Each I see as a gem. A servant leader is accessible. Some of you have taken leadership roles recently, right? So this is relevant, okay? So here's where it begins. There's 9 qualities that we've got here for a servant leader. A servant leader is accessible, being present and available, also being very accountable, and accepts being put downable. That is a word. Put downable. Being humble, taking advice from people. Okay. Such a soul is very active, because we talked about that. Such a soul is very active and hence is so attractive. Like people are busy, they're attractive. There's something really nice about them. They're occupied. So it's very attractive, right? They're not lazy, but very busy and never has a tizzy. From section B, one is benevolent. Generous and giving is most evident. One should be like a bodyguard and protect like some diehard. Protect your people. You're a leader, protect your people. Okay, they're most important to you. Okay, one should be a team builder, just the word it stands, because that's part of the B section, and go for numbers that bewilder, for growth, expansion that's measurable. Bring to the heart what's pleasurable. Like Prabhupada was always into numbers. How many books, how many temples, how many devotees? Like that. How many countries? He once said, we have we've expanded more than the British Empire. He once said that. Like we're in all countries, So Prabhupada was into the numbers, the figures, And so from section C, that we're talking about words that start with C, one is a commander. Decisions, assertive, do not meander. The ability to be a communicator, that's another one. To listening and empathy we cater. Finally, it is essential to be creative. Starting with C again. Dream and be very innovative. Visionaries create a path for all. Do something great and not small. And Prabhupada said, you Americans, whatever you do it big. So do something big for Krishna. You just lash it out there. And that's the idea. Of course, we're not American, but I guess we're quiet Americans. Soft, polite, but it's the same continent, right? Okay, so thank you for listening.